Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today I actually have a very fun video because I borrowed a bag from a friend, and because it's a bag that I have been kind of contemplating for myself for a while, so I kind of just want to borrow it to test it out, to try it, to do a little comparison myself and see if it's something that I may want to add into my collection down the road. But let me just reveal the bag, or you probably know from the title of the video. So today we're talking about the Trendy CC flap. This is a gorgeous Trendy CC from a friend. It's in used condition, but it is still in gorgeous. It held up really, really well. I think she's had for quite a few years now, but it's holding up really, really nicely. It's black lambskin with light gold hardware. I'll do some close up for you guys. It's such a beautiful bag. And it obviously has this very signature classic, I shouldn't say classic, but their signature metal plate on top of the flap. And I will just take up the fill here. And you can see it's a very beautiful CC logo. It does have the Mona Lisa pocket in the back. And I don't know if this is common knowledge, but the strap is actually completely removable. So you just need to loop it through the opening right here. You can see this one still have the plastics on, and it could be completely removed. And earlier, the way that she tucked it in, so you could just like loop the shoulder piece on top of the handle, and it could be pretty much hidden completely. Other than that, the side has sort of these folded compartments. So once you open it, inside is actually in different compartments. I will take other stuff in there as well. So there are actually 3 slots, which I feel like some of the bags, for example, I think the Louis Vuitton Pochette Métis bag does that. Some bags do that. I think it's actually really helpful for someone who love to have more organization in your bags. But I think you do have to compromise the overall space of the bag. I do think it's a useful feature for a lambskin bag just because it does help with the overall structure of the bag. Lambskin is quite soft, and I feel like over time, without any internal kind of compartment, it may lose its shape over time. And based on just me viewing it, the first 2 compartments are fairly large, and the last one, it's a little bit more narrow. The bag is actually fully lined with leather. So I feel like that is one of the reasons why the price point on these are actually pretty high. So because there are 3 compartments and they're all lined with leather, there's actually quite a bit of leather that goes into this bag. And there is a nice secure back pocket in there as well with this authentication card that she has in there, which is also fully lined. So it is 100% leather lined bag. I always appreciate that from Chanel. Not all the bags are like that. The newer versions of, for example, my Chanel 19, it doesn't have the leather. A lot of the newer designs, I think the internal lining is actually fabric. So I don't know if that's a conscious decision, environmental reasons, or just, cost effectiveness. But leather does, not only it's for longevity of the bag, but I do feel like it's easier to clean. It's just easier to maintain in general. So I do find leather, I am more drawn towards leather lined handbags. Okay, so so I am actually trying to compare to the Chanel Classic Flap because I do feel like they share quite a few commonalities, but they are quite different in some ways as well. So this is my Classic Flap, and you can tell in terms of the length of the bag, and mine is a medium large, so it is quite a bit like longer. This might be a bit more comparable to a small Classic Flap in terms of length, but then in terms of height, it's actually slightly taller. So overall, it is more of a how do you say, more square-ish bag compared to your classic flap bags for sure. And the chain is longer, so it is a better crossbody option. And here you go. And I do think a lot of people do compare it to the Coco handle as well, just because these are the two most common top handle bags that they currently have. I mean, they have a lot of seasonal bags, but these are the kind of reoccurring bags. Okay, so in terms of like strap length, you can see it's a tad longer. And I'll just show you guys how it looks on. This bag is like shows up in so many of my favorite Instagrammer feeds. So I'm always tempted to add one for myself as well. You guys know every time I go over there is to check myself out in the mirror. Basically, this is it crossbody. Very, very comfortable crossbody position to me. And I do think it's better than my Coco handle, which I've already sold. That one, because the top handle is rigid, it does dig into your body a little bit more, especially in the winter if you're wearing something a little bit more thicker. So it'll become taller even, so it does dig in. But in this case, the handle has a little bit of flexibility, so I don't feel like it's uncomfortable or anything like that. And I feel like in terms of access, this is actually still quite good to do it this way. And it just has it's nice to have a compartmentalized bag. The only issue is if you are someone who loves to use handbag insert for all your bags, I don't think this will really work. I know they do make them for these bags, but then you will leave very little space for your items, and then the bag will become very, very puffy once you close it and has an insert with all your items inside. So I wouldn't recommend bag insert for this particular bag. I'll just put on my medium flap on the other side. I recently did a video on how you shouldn't buy medium classic flap. And one of the reasons a lot of people complains about it is the fact that it cannot be worn crossbody. So I do feel like if you're wearing something, I'm not very skinny, right? Like I'm not petite right now because I did gain quite a bit of weight after my second baby. So I can still wear crossbody relatively comfortably in the summer if I'm just wearing a thin t-shirt. But I think if I'm wearing anything thicker than what I currently have on, I think it will be too much for a crossbody bag. I personally always wear it basically. I never really wear it on one shoulder either. I like to kind of hold it as a clutch often, or I just do the double chain strap and then wear like a sort of a shoulder bag. But to be very honest, I usually just carry it at the crook of my arms like this. Or like I said, I actually really prefer the clutch look. I just kind of hold it like this sometimes, especially if I have like big coats and all the other stuff. Of course, when you're holding your bag, your quilted Chanel bags too often, like I like to grab it on the top. You guys can see that. And on the side, just over time, these quilts do become flat and start to wrinkle a bit. The older caviars especially, they seem to be more soft, a little bit more natural grain leather. You will see some wrinkles at the bottom here. But to be honest, I've had this bag for a long time. I've used it, right? Like so far, I cannot really see anywhere at all. The hardware is in pristine condition. I kind of say this every video I film this, but caviar is truly, truly carefree. And that's why it's so highly recommended. But as you can see, this lambskin bag here still holds up really well as well. It's really nice and soft and luxurious as well. And, you know, very little wear on it. And just have a different way of catching the light. I don't know if you guys can tell. Like you can see the shine on it. It's different. And because it's a light gold hardware, it's almost like you could almost go with your silver hardware on your clothing or on your jewelry as well. And you can go with gold as well. So you can see just a tiny bit more gold than my silver hardware. So the quilt, another thing is, I feel like most people do count quilts for sizing purpose, and I do that too. But I just want to say, like, they only work for one line of bags. So if you are looking at classic flaps and those quilts are the same size, with their new releases, all the quilts are different. So you cannot count the number of quilts on these Trendy CC to compare with your classic flap. As you can tell, the quilts are actually quite a bit larger. This is the back of the two bags. The pockets seem to be fairly similar in size, and this back pocket is also leather lined, so it is fully leather lined. I do think this bag, if you just carry the handle like this, is probably my favorite way, or just walking around with the top handle option. So I think this one is almost more versatile, because the fact that it has a really nice top handle, and I think it's a all year round bag for sure. In terms of cons, I mean, given that I personally never had a chance to use it fully, it's hard to say what are the possible negative side, but I can tell, like, I know for myself, for the longest time, I'm always hesitant about this bag because I feel like the hardware, first of all, it adds weights to the bag, and also eventually it will show a lot of scratches and potentially become, it shows a lot of wear on it. But to be honest, so far on this one, it's actually still really, really good so far. Yeah. I mean, maybe if I get to actually wear out a few times, I can tell you guys what are the things that I find to be problematic. But so far, I think it's very beautiful. I've been trying it on, and I just feel like the look of the bag is still very elegant, very Chanel, and the top handle just makes it a lot more convenient in a lot of ways. I do like to carry, just like leave my bags on the chairs or on tables when I go out, on the side, on a passenger seat. So I do feel like a top handle is very handy. The weight of the bag itself is heavy, so I do find it to be comparable to my medium flap, maybe a little bit heavier, to be honest. And the fact that it's all lambskin with no feet underneath, that could be a problematic issue as well if the bottom gets damaged. But as you can tell, it's in perfect condition, no major scratch or anything like that. The Coke handle, they do have the feet. All right, that's all for today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.